What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys had an incredible weekend. Oh, man, I see everybody piling in. Good morning to Chuck, Mr. CJ himself. Good morning to Albert, Alex, Amy's in the house. Good morning to Andy, Bill, Brian, Cindy, Drake, Jay, Joe, John, Kevin. Good morning, Lauren. We got Martina. Good morning, Stephanie Wally. Yo, Varus is in the house. Good morning. Ooh, let's see what we got going on today. All my people in YouTube land. Good morning to all of you guys as well. Let's check out the SPY. We are gapping down a little bit. So a little bit of a pullback. Nothing too crazy. Friday, though, is a little bit interesting. It almost seems like a little bit of a blow off top. The question is, with the gap down that we have today, is the sentiment still a buy the dip? I don't know. That was a very interesting blow off top. CJ says that's good. I'm in puts. Yeah, I finally got some puts on Friday. I finally did. I'm with you on that one, CJ. Yeah, we ran a lot. We ran pretty hard. I think we do have to pull back a little bit. I can at least see us at 443. So I have puts, they're about a month out just for insurance purpose. Again, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna buy the dip today or not. We are gapping down, but we're not below the lows of Friday. I could see us. I'm looking for probably about 448, 41 on the downside if we do continue to sell. That's probably where we look to get a bounce. If that breaks, we have a much bigger pullback. That's going to take us to 446.15 on the SPY. So we have some downside. Again, it is a little bit of a retest. Retest gap from the close. Probably at open, I would expect, especially being inside day, I'm going to expect a little bit of chop, and most likely, I think we get a little bit bullish at the beginning of the day, and then again, it's gonna come down to where does the day end. So we'll see. We'll see how this candle closes. I do think it's an important candle, probably today in the markets, but look at that blow off top in the Qs. So that's more evident than the SPY for sure. But there's the Q candle, the Qs from Friday. We did get a what seems to be a blow off top. Interesting enough, though, SPY gapping down, Qs are actually gapping up. So we have a little bit of a mixed bag in the market today. If that doesn't cause more confusion, I don't know what will. But we do have a little bit of a gap up in the Qs, and I see Alex already throwing in Tesla. Yep. So Tesla's gapping up based on Cybertruck news. Looks like they are producing those ones finally. Let me see, Lauren. ARGX is only gapping up $100 today. I don't know what that one is. ARGX. Let's take a look. Is that pharmaceuticals? I can't even find the pre-market. There it is. I couldn't even find that pre-market support. Yeah, that's a monster gap. This is something healthcare, I guess. Is this earnings? No. They didn't come out with the earnings yet, so let's see if there's news. Kennesaw Enterprise down 40%. I'm not even seeing anything. Stock futures edge lower during Monday's pre-market action ahead of the busy Q2 session. You got Tesla, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. So a lot of the financials. Biggest stock gainer. I'm not even seeing some, but yeah, this is biotech, so they probably came out with some kind of thing. Usually most biotech, and I usually don't trade biotech, but most of the time sell the news, buy the rumor. So it looks to me, if this thing is gapping up only $100, nothing to see here. $100 gap up. Most likely that one fades lower if you guys do want to try to play it. but I'll probably stay away. I usually stay away from those ones. Let's take a look real quick at Pepsi. So Pepsi gapping down. That's a pretty good gap and go bearish. We're into a little bit of support. Probably have to close this little gap, which is closed. If we take this one lower, probably about 184.54 would be our bigger support. So we still have about $2 to the downside, maybe roughly about $1.50. Yeah, we could probably take a short on that one. I don't expect Pepsi to move that crazy though. We're still above all the moving averages. That's going to cause a little bit of probably chop fest around there as well, but it is a gap and go bearish, so that looks decent. Again, I don't expect it to move too crazy. Let's put this a little bit higher. I believe they already had earnings last week, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go a little bit higher with Pepsi. We'll watch it. I don't know again if I'm going to trade it, but we'll definitely watch it. It's interesting to say the least. Doesn't usually have big moving days though. And then we got Tesla. So Tesla is gapping up. This one is a retest gap, so I don't want to be the first one to buy it. They do have Cybertruck news, which is exciting because I could put my order in like only 3 years ago. And I I haven't been contacted since. Not been contacted since. But it looks like maybe they're gonna shoot me an email or text soon. I don't know. Probably to the higher side of this one, we're gonna be looking for about 290 before we hit a little about 291. So we do have more room to the higher side. Again, this is a retest gap. We sold a little bit toward the end of the day on Friday. So there might be some bears looking for that double top, trying to get into short. And that would at least trap them. If this one pulls back, I'd be interested in a bullish buy. I still want to buy the news on the Cybertruck. I like it. Trying to think, 291. We'd have to get probably about $1 risk to reward on this thing. And if we do break through that 291, probably the next target could get us to about 297, so very close to that 300. I think I would have to have some kind of reason why I think it could get there. If it could, that's the trade. If it gets to 291, I don't know if that we could make that much money on Tesla, but it is gapping up a little bit. Let me know if you guys have any other tickers. I only see 3 so far into the chat. Let me check on YouTube land, VR. We got Crowd and VRSN. And then Riot as well. Riot could be interesting. Let's take a look at Riot real quick. It's already run a lot, so we're gapping down 2 pennies, so nothing too crazy. Again, still inside of Friday's candle. We haven't broke the bottom of this thing yet. We had a little bit of a pullback after a massive run. So again, I think a lot of these things are pretty far extended. With that, exactly why I took some puts out on Friday. I was like, we're getting pretty extended off of some of those moving averages. I think today it's going to be a little bit probably chop. This is a nice breakout candle, good volume. We did stay in the upper half. I don't know what this thing is going to do today. It looks like probably just chop, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of these things start to get some kind of a pullback before we're going to run again. So even from here, 50% retracement is going to take us to about $17 almost. Whether we get there or not, I mean, trapping a lot of those bulls. As soon as we start to break those candles, this one's from Thursday. If we start getting below 1778, that's trapping a lot of the breakout traders, a lot of the people who bought this thing afterwards were a run. And then I start to see a little bit of a pullback. Until that point, I have to remain a little bit bullish. I don't know if I want to buy Riot today. I mean, I think I'm late to this trade if I was. So if this thing pulls back, I would be looking for maybe a buy opportunity. But for right now, day trade wise, a little bit of probably just sideways chop. Let me take a look real quick at crowd. Jay says Yelp. We'll take a look at that one as well. Crowd, again, kind of just small little gap up, still inside Friday's candle. We are consolidating on this one. Let me see if there's any liquidity anywhere on crowd. Even on a wave count basis, 1, 2. You have a little bit of a double top on the daily. Yeah, this one probably has to pull back too. It looks like it's just sideways right now. So again, for day trade purpose, I don't really see anything that I find too appealing on it. That was a bullish retest. We did retest. We sat sideways. Yeah, a little bit of just sideways chop for right now. Let me see the other one. VRSN. That one, I don't know what that is. I've never seen this one. VRSN. VeriSign. Is that like a DocuSign? Not really gapping at all. Probably light volume on this one as well. $216 stock. So definitely above the $5. Again, that's a horrific candle to say the least from 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago. So that looks like a pretty bearish move. Almost looks a little bit head and shoulders on the daily chart. I would think most likely after that candle that came in, that big red candle with volume, probably bearish, but right now we are just kind of chilling inside of that day as well. So nothing too crazy, but I think a little bit more to the bearish side makes sense. We got pins. Nice gap up on pins. Really nice. Might be my favorite gap so far. It's got plenty of room to run. Target would be roughly about 32.21. All right, let's get pins up a lot higher. That one looks probably like my favorite gap so far. Trying to think of what sympathy plays we can get for pins as well. There it is. Chewy has a gap this morning too. I like that gap a lot on pins. 29. So we still got about $3 to the higher side. This would be technically a retest gap, so maybe we get a little sell-off at the beginning of the day. Let me see the pre-market entry somewhere around 29.30 would be decent. Yep. Pins, I think, is so far my favorite. Chewy has a nice gap as well. Yeah, pretty decent gap up. $40 even. The only problem with Chewy, it is a nice gap. So we did have a little bit of selling on Friday, created a little bit of a wick. Maybe that traps some people from Friday. We also have this retest gap as well. Probably this one retested a little too much. The only problem I have with Chewy is $40.46. We do have a VWAP or VPOC that we could get some limitations to profits. See if we go a little bit higher. The higher volume area is about 42.85. So if we could break that one little VPOC, that should give us probably about $2 higher from that point, about $2.30 higher. That might be decent. We'll put it on the list to watch. I would prefer some type of full-on retest on Chewy. I think I do have some Chewy shares in some account. Was not moving. Let's see. Chewy just does not want to move higher on my list. I don't know. Maybe that's a sign right there. Maybe that's a signal. I can't even get this thing to scroll up. There we go. Wow, this thing. All right, I'm just gonna leave Chewy there. Let's see. RLT has a swing on Chewy. Bullish, I hope. And you're probably getting kind of close to targets. It has been chopping sideways for a little bit, so this is a good, decent little breakout. That gap, this gap right here, from it looks like probably a couple weeks ago, is fantastic. So I would consider Chewy to the bullish side. After a gap like that, should have some more room to run. Again, we are getting a nice little gap, but this is a retest, and I think it probably pulls back and opens. So if it pulls back, we could probably also day trade it too. Let's see. Disney with a gap down. Disney, I feel like it just cannot get. It cannot find any love. Still in this side, we're at good support. It is a gap down. There's also a retest gap. Maybe it gets bought up off the support. I think they had their chance with the Bob Iger news. I think they had their chance. That was it for them to hopefully try to break out of this $89 range, and it pulled right back. So I just don't see that there's any momentum in Disney. Most likely, this is probably a support that breaks. Unfortunately for Disney, and then you probably see something closer to the lower 80s before trying to get into this thing. But this is a retest gap, and we are at a little bit of support. What's up, Hector? So probably at open, I think this thing gets bought up, but I don't see any enthusiasm. I don't see any real love on the Disney, and I think if it breaks that support, we're gonna drop. I'm always asking for Microsoft and AMD. All right, let's check those out. MSFT. Richard Jet is in the house too. Good morning. All right, so we got Microsoft. This one is gapping up slightly. Still had that little bit of a blow off top. We were also supposed to see the announcement for the rebalancing from what they put out there as a post. It was supposed to be Friday. Nothing came in, which is very interesting. So we'll see, but Microsoft would be one of them trying to get the rebalance. We also have, I think, more news on the Microsoft Activision front, where I think one of the last hurdles of that merger, I guess, takeover, whatever it's called, that one is pretty much over with. So I think all the hurdles for the Activision Microsoft merger is, I think it's pretty much a solid deal happening, case closed type situation. So I think Microsoft's probably getting a little bit of a move on this one. Still inside day from Friday. We do have one little VPOC, slightly higher, 346.20. So that would have to break. Otherwise, longer term, probably Microsoft does go higher. We do have a little double top with a very interesting also blow off top, kind of like the rest of the queues. So we'll have to see what happens with Microsoft. But day trade wise, probably not too much happening with it, at least from what I can see yet. But maybe we get a cool little setup during the day. We'll see. But AMD, so this one's gapping up as well, 1620. I don't know what happened with AMD on Friday. They did it. They made their break. It was a good runner. We hit that 122 zone that we were looking at, and not only were we not able to break out, but we gave it all back. So I don't know if AMD is going to get that same little pullback, but watch that 118.46 on AMD. This is a fairly decent gap on AMD. We are breaking out of, I mean, at some point there was some bulls, and then they just sold, I guess. they gave it all back. I would be worried on AMD after this type of a wick. That tells me that there is some definite bears on AMD, or at least a whole bunch of people that want to take profits on this thing. But we do have a decent gap up, essentially above the opening of that Friday candle. But you got to watch out for that 118.42 zone. Not over yet. Either side can walk away soon. I don't. I mean, the deal for Microsoft Activision, that's been in there for. They've been trying to get that thing for. I think it's at least a year, probably over a year now. I don't see either side walking away, but yeah, there's a little bit of risk to it. I don't think Activision too. There was a good arbitrage trade to it. Not now. I think your risk of something crazy happening, somebody walking away. I don't think so. I think the deal goes through, but at this point, it's not worth playing at least the arbitrage on Activision. But we'll see what happens. I think the deal goes through. It is not official technically, but Microsoft definitely wants it. Activision's been sitting there at pretty decent pricing for a while, and as soon as we got the court ruling, I think most of the possibilities of the deal not going through is probably lessened, and we have a more likely chance that the thing does happen. But Datadog, slight little gap down again inside day. I'm seeing an absolute ton of inside candles. So pins right now is definitely my favorite. Datadog is inside. It's going to be a little bit tougher, I think. Coinbase, also a tad gap down, about $1. Another blow off top. Oh yeah, I didn't look at Yelp. Good gap up. See if there's any type of resistance in here that we have to worry about. Otherwise, it looks relatively decent. I think if this one gets retested to some extent, this is a fairly large gap. Looks like we had a good channel we were chopping. Let's see if this one can pull back a little bit. $39. We've had some buying into this gap. I like it as a swing a lot, though. That definitely on a daily looks like a head and shoulder or inverse head and shoulders. So that looks decent. Probably target. We could take this thing to about, not today, but probably about 49.66. A lot of the liquidity is below us. That should be some type of support, but at open, I would expect a little bit of pullback. So let's see if we get this one at let me add this thing to the list. I definitely don't have Yelp on the list. Let's see if we get this one closer to $39. Why is TradingView slow? Yelp. Not a bad gap, but yeah, I do want to see somebody want to take profits on this thing. Hector wants to take a look at Baba. Alex is asking for Apple. All right. AAPL. Look at this straight shot up on Apple. I mean, great trend. Pre-market, slight little gap up above Friday. Do they have news? It does look a little different than some of the other ones. Left Russia in response to Moscow's devastating invasion. Yeah, decent gap up. We do have some resistance right above us, so I would have to watch out for that. according to the news, just a bunch of the big tech guys left Russia. I don't see that moving the stock at all. Again, this would be another retest. Let's see if this one comes down a little bit. 190.63 would be a decent spot to try. Otherwise, risk to reward, it's going to be a little bit tougher, knowing that 192.25 is going to be the resistance. So probably about a less than $1, probably about 75 cents. Gremlins. All right, let's take a look at Baba. Oh, we got 4 minutes left. Baba with a little bit of gap down. It does gap frequently, so the gaps I don't think are as significant as some of the other ones. Let's see if this one comes down a little bit further. So 91.87 will be the spot where I'll be looking to see if we could maybe take a stab at it. Definitely I see some bullish momentum in here. We're starting to break a little bit. I think all of this is healthy for a pullback. Even on a, let me change this fib a little bit. Let's just see if we get a 50% retracement even. That would be down to 89.82. So right around where, and even the 618 is probably 88.13. So it's also a little bit of a retest. We have some moving averages holding us up. Yeah, I wouldn't be playing this thing bearish. I'd be looking for a buy opportunity on it, which would be somewhere probably about 89.82. So I do want this thing to drop a little bit further if we're going to play this thing bullish. But yeah, the gaps on this one, and again, that's a beautiful looking gap from July 6th. So I think all of this is just profit taking, and we probably look to bounce off the 50 or the 618. I like Baba's. I picked up some Baba for the long term. I did also sell some cover calls on it on Thursday, so I picked a good candle to do it on, and they were paying a lot for the 120 covered calls, so I had to take that opportunity. But we'll see what happens there. All right, let me see if there's any more. Target is going to be a rough one. I think Target did break down relatively decent, even though it is a gap up. We have a little bit of support here. This zone, I think, was the most easiest short. If people wanted to short Target, they were jumping in here, probably created a little bit of capitulation. They got squeezed out, and we're right back down to these levels. I think the bulls had their shot on Target. That would have been the zone to do it on. So we do have a little gap up, but again, there's no momentum on this gap. Same thing with Disney as well. It's just been a struggle bus. So we'll have to see. But I think finding rips to short on Target makes sense to me, and we probably could break that down. Very bearish wick. Target. I don't know if you mean Target on that one or not. AMD bouncing in a fib channel. Yeah, I mean, if you throw a fib here, that was probably a good bounce. That would be fib retracements. Here to here. That was essentially at the 618. And again, I could see AMD being the bell already. I don't know what happens at the time. I mean, that's a lot of volume, a lot of selling on AMD. And I think if we go bullish on this thing today, it's probably the play. But at the same time, we're probably going to be met with a lot of resistance on this thing as well. So be careful on AMD. But that was the opening bell. Everybody in YouTube land, I appreciate you guys joining us each and every day. Make sure you guys check out reallifetrading.com. We do have free education, free classes. If you have not already, hit the like, hit the subscribe.